Okay, well, it doesn't take a horrible week like we've had in Afghanistan with a suicide bomber at a crammed Kabul airport with a rushed evacuation to remind you and remind myself there's a great battle among good and evil that's going on in our midst. I mean, evil rages. It's here and now in our city, our country, uh, our world, our lives. I mean, you don't need a week like this to be reminded, but this week was a good reminder. Uh, Sadly, since we're talking about wokeness, some of our top generals were posting about their woke diversity training and critical race theory that they're applying to our military force this week in the midst of our proud fighting forces not only being set up without a perimeter to protect them, but our nation getting humiliated. It's just, it was a weird week to deal with wokeness, given what some people seem preoccupied with, while our nation is having one of the most catastrophic, humiliating weeks that we've had in that lifetime. So you're reminded, and I am too, that there are rivals who oppose us. There are enemies that want to destroy us. There are terrorists around the world that want to kill us. They not only want to kill our bodies, they want to kill our faith. They want to kill our lifestyle. They want to eliminate our God. They want to eliminate hope, the only true hope on the planet. These hostile forces are certainly outside of us, but there are a lot of weak, deceptive, betraying, treasonous souls within our ranks. We just talked about this. There's going to be people amongst us, our own generals, our own politicians, our own citizens who also have an agenda to try to diminish our nation, try to hurt our faith. And it's really compelling to see it unfold as we are. There are worldviews that impact the strategies and the decisions and the consequences that we're seeing. There will always be horrible casualties in the fight between good and evil. Not only this week, I believe about 14 American service heroes, but over 100 others, not to mention many Christians, as I prayed earlier, that are very fearful of their lives. They're in a place that's hostile to God. Amidst the carnage, there will always be plenty of, in my opinion, pathetic excuses. That was not new. A lot of finger pointing, blaming, and angry reactions. And none of that's new. That all goes back to the garden, right? That goes back to Adam and Eve, like, she made me. No, he actually, it's like, there's always going to be that. Very few people that go, you know what, this is my bad. I made this decision. This cost lives. This was my problem. I own it, and I will make it right. With your help, please pray for me. But that's not common. It's not common, by the way. I'm not trying to just blow smoke out there. Not common with us. It's hard with me. It's hard to own. I just blew that. That was my bad. That's hard with my wife. That can be hard with my kids. It can be hard with you. But that's what we need right now. We need truth in the midst of all that's going on. So I'm praying that we continue to be the kind of people that I know you are, who want to equip. We want to equip ourselves, put on the full armor of God, and fight the good faith with all that we have. Amen. Now, we're going to be looking at 2 Timothy chapter 3. This is Paul's last letter. He wrote 13 letters in the New Testament, and this is the last of them. So he's just ready to be martyred. He knows his life is at the very end. We're at the second to the last chapter. He's writing Timothy. Timothy is a young, kind of naive, gullible, a little bit softer, if I can say that tactfully. He's just a kinder, gentler guy. Timothy was crusty. Paul was crusty. Paul was Saul, so he knows how to kill people. So he's concerned for the church because he's going to be taken out And he's concerned that Timothy has the grit and the gumption to like fight the good fight and to stay in there, and wants to warn them, wants to warn him and warn us that we're going to have to contend for the faith. I know no one likes doing battle. It's not fun to be in forever wars. But we're going to be in forever wars until we get to the other side. There's always going to be evil. So you can pull out wherever you want. It doesn't go away. Evil just fills the vacuum. I know it's frustrating. I'm not trying to tell you military choices here. I'm just trying to say that we're always going to be dealing with evil. Just how do you want to deal with it? And Paul's trying to tell Timothy that in these days, there will always be people who are going to wield the latest wokeness of the day, and they're going to try to deceive people and ruin their faith, and they're going to be wolves in sheep's clothing. And the reason we're dealing with it is because it's not a political philosophy. This is a fake alternative religion. This is a deceptive faith, a counterfeit deity. This is a deceptive God substitute. These are people who want God out, and they want to be in. That's why they're in our lane. I have no desire to get political with you. I don't want to tell you how to build bridges. I don't want to move into executive decisions. I don't want to be a judicial court. I want to stay in the magistrate lane of the church. That's what God's called me to. But I don't want them in our lane either. Telling us what a man is and a woman is and a marriage is, get out. Telling us like who we should like bow to and who we should obey, get out. So that's where I've had personal angst in this, but it's not about me, it's about us. So Paul's apparently had some angst too. He's going to tell Timothy, you're going to have to be heads up because there's terrible times ahead. And there's going to be wackadoodles you're going to have to deal with. So let's read 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 9. I'll read the verses quickly and then we'll start to unpack them and then we'll see if we can make some woke application. Here's what he starts with. Verse 1, 2 Timothy 3. But mark this. Mark this. There will be terrible times in these last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited. Wow, Paul, here he goes. Lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. Having a form of godliness. They're going to try to appear religious. They're going to have like this, the pinata look of like godliness. But they're going to deny its power. Have nothing to do with them. They're the kind who worm their way into homes and gain control over weak-willed women, who are loaded down with sins and who are swayed by all kinds of evil desires, always learning, never able to acknowledge the truth, just as Jans and Jambres opposed Moses, so these men oppose the truth. They oppose the truth. Timothy, they're not truth tellers. They don't want the truth. They oppose it. They're men of depraved minds who, as far as the faith is concerned, they've already been rejected. God rejects this craziness. But they will not get very far because in the case of these men, they're folly. See, cuckoo-ness is in there, see it? Their folly will be clear to everyone. And I'm hoping in our nation, we're getting heads up with what's been going on for a long time, by the way, both red and blue. So let's unpack that. What is he saying here? He starts off in verse 1, but mark this, realize this. Know this. You can be certain of this. Don't be naive, Timothy, regarding this. There are going to be terrible times. Chalapas, that means very hard, perilous, hard to bear, hard to deal with, hard to endure. It's used in the New Testament of dealing with wild animals. It's used of raging seas. There's going to be crazy, there's going to be lots of stuff. There's going to be people who are out to get you. They're savage. They're untamed. And in these last days, he's like, which we're moving into. You're going to have to be a hardworking farmer. You're going to have to be a soldier. You're going to have to fight the good fight. You're going to have to be an athlete that gets through the hard stuff. He uses a lot of metaphors in the previous chapters, saying you're going to have to endure, you're going to have to persevere. You don't grow weary. This is just the beginning. These people oppose the truth. And in our world, they're going to come up with all kinds of craziness. There's going to be secular enmity. There's going to be Hollywood hostility. There's going to be academic animosity. There's going to be social media kiboshing. There's going to be cancel culture and blacklisting, bullying, and hatred towards our faith, and riots and threats and violence, whether it's Antifa or Black Lives Matter, Marxist, fascist, evil, destructive people, Gnostics in the first century, Judaizers. It doesn't matter. These people are everywhere. There's going to be some form of identity politics. There's going to be some sort of issues that's going to take the issue off of who we are and what we're about. And they're going to try to defund the police. And it could be Planned Parenthood. It could be a Biden-Harris worldview. It could be whatever. It could be Caesar or Nero or Caligula. I mean, do I need to name the Caesars for you? They're all crazy because they think they're gods. They want tribute to Rome, not tribute to God. They want tribute to the state, not tribute to God. And they've always been around. They're always going to be there. And Timothy, you're young, you're naive, and I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, like you're going to have to get comfortable opposing the truth, the falsehoods, so you can advance the truth. So he starts off with, mark this, it's going to be terrible. So he does, I think, a good job of trying to be camp. So now he's going to give Timothy, like, let me try to be specific so you're not like, is this what you meant by terrible? I mean, what are you, he's going to give them like dozens of words here now. I think 19 expressions. People will be. Now, that's cool because in verse 2, he doesn't say institutions will be, societies will be, nations will be. People. There is no Black Lives Matter. There is no critical race theory without people. There's no woke training in your corporations unless some CEO decides that you need to be more diverse and more inclusive. Code for more Marxist, statist, and control. People. He tells Timothy, it's going to be people, not Rome. It's people. Men and women, not society at large. Fallen, perverted, self-centered, godless people are going to be like this. And he's like, let me give you like 19, because why not? Could have been 31. Could have made the sermon shorter with 7. Let's go to the top 7. He's like, no, I'm going to give you 19. They're going to be lovers of themselves. They're going to be total narcissists. These people are always aware of the mirror and never aware of the other. These people are just so self-centered and self-absorbed. They're in their own world. They're lovers of themselves. They're also lovers of money. Someone's making a buck out of all this crazy woke training we're getting in our corporations today. Someone's preoccupied with filling their barns and accumulating masses and owning things and managing things and, well, and they're so myopic. They are going to be boastful, proud, and abusive. Balazones. This is a Greek word that means like self-absorbed, like swashbucklers. They're like self-promoting braggarts. This is like someone who has swag, you know. These people, it's so cool what we're doing. The diversity training is so profound, so inclusive. And we're looking at whiteness. Try to be less white if you could, okay? That'd be super helpful. And we're looking at, we're going to go with reparations, and we're going to like make this new, forget about equality of opportunity. We're going to get equality of outcomes. So beautiful. It's part of the great new deal. You know, it's part of the reset. It's part of a new society. They're going to be boastful, hyper-ephone, that means arrogant, haughty, stop-out, conceited. It's translated here just proud, but it's hyper-ephone. It's like really proud. And abusive. They're going to walk all over you. They're not going to care. They don't need one vote from the other side. They don't need to listen to one opinion they don't like. They'll just cancel you, deplatform you. They're going to be so unkind, so rude, so profane, so offensive, so castigating and invective and blasphemous. It's going to be unbelievable. Timothy, are you ready for this? I was at the airport the other day, and this is so terrible to even confess, but there was a guy there with his family, and he's like, I think I want to be a priest. I could overhear him talking. And I just had this thought, just like, it ain't going to work. I just could see in the demeanor and stuff, and I just thought, okay, that's cool, pray for him. So I did try to pray for him, and I thought, no, you need to go up to him and tell him, you become a priest, you're going to have to be a teacher of the truth. You're going to have to deal with evil. You're going to have to get a set of you-know-what. And you're going to have to, but he just seemed like a nice guy, and I know that was all in my imagination, has nothing to do with that guy, it has to do with my sinfulness and brokenness. But I'm like, we don't need Mr. Rogers in the pulpit. We don't need our churches to be led by nice people anymore. We need people who can deal with this craziness. Timothy, are you set? He goes on, they're going to be disobedient to their parents. Totally dishonoring. This is his code way of saying they're going to try to destroy the nuclear family. These people are totally opposed to the family as an institution of God. They don't want parents to have rights. Children don't have to check in with their parents if they want a pregnancy test or if they want to do this or that. Hell's bells. If they want to change their gender, so what? You're not going to get a notification. Who are you? These people are disobedient to parents. They have no respect for parental authority. They're ungrateful. That means they're devoid of thankfulness or appreciation. They're grumblers. They're unholy. Means they're completely irreligious or irreverent or godless or sacrilegious. They're without love, ostorgoi. Storge is the it's one of the 4 or 5 terms used for love. It's the term for family love. Phileo is just a form of love. Adelphos is like brotherly love. Agape is like unconditional love. Storge is family love. They are off storge. They're like not for family love. They're for the state, for the agenda. They want you worshiping they don't want you to be some free-thinking, tight-knit family unit. No, we're going to tell you what to do. We're going to mandate it. Don't listen to your parents. We know what the truth is. They're going to be without that kind of family love. They're going to be unforgiving. It means really hateful, vindictive, punitive, vengeful. They're going to be slanderous. This comes from the Greek word diaboloi, which literally means devils. They're diabolical. These people will wrong you. They will actually say, they'll make crap up about you. Just to get you out of office, to defame you, to get you out of the pulpit, to get you out of your business. All someone has to do is just go up and I had a kind of a racist experience with my colleague at lunch. You could be written up, boom. All you need is one neighbor to go, I think they're punishing their kids with a paddle or something like that. Oh, that's cool. Corporal punishment. I mean, that's an offense. The state doesn't want that. They're their kids, not yours. They're slanderous. They're without self-control, which means they don't have the spirit of self-governing. This word means kind of wild, disorderly, violent, rowdy, rash, undisciplined, unruly. Means uncivilized, really. He adds to that. I mean, if you haven't gotten the picture yet, he goes, Timothy, how about brutal? Can I use that word? Brutal. They're brutal. Means crude or cruel or callous, primitive, savage, brutish, barbaric. That's why you see illustrations in Scripture about they're like animals, they're like dogs that bite, they're like snakes. They're not lovers of the good. Woke is not a lover of the good. It doesn't love good people, doesn't like good thoughts, it doesn't want good reason. That's not the agenda. It's bad people with bad motives looking to do bad things. Verse 4. My words can you jam in here? They're treacherous. Oh, you kind of already said that. I just want to keep hammering the nail so you don't miss it. Treacherous. These people are slippery as an oil slick. They're sneaky and seditious and traitorous. They're brutal, dishonest, disloyal, deceitful, deceptive. These are shifty people. Yeah, it's rash. They're rash, which means reckless and ruthless and headstrong. They're conceited. I thought you kind of said that, but he just wants to make sure you get it. These people are so arrogant and so cocky. They're big-talking, big-headed, loudmouth know-it-alls who think they know better than you do. You idiots, you don't know how to run your lives. We know how to run it. Just do what we say. Fall in line. We're going to tell you what to do with your body. We're going to tell you what to do with your cars. You're going to have to wear a seatbelt. You're not adult enough to figure out if you want to wear one or not wear one. We're going to mandate that. We're going to tell you what kind of light bulbs you have to have. And that's just the beginning. We're going to tell you what schools you can go to and what you're going to have to believe and where you can go. And no, you can't see the 9/11 memorial. You're not vaccinated. You have to do what we say. We're not going to let you do it. Okay. And underneath that, Paul says to Timothy, they're going to be lovers of pleasure. These people are addicted to all kinds of things. They're lusted for amusement, diversion, revelry, entitlement, bliss, buzz, titillation, turn on, you name it. These people are raw. They're lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. Let me just make sure you know we're talking about a spiritual dynamic here. They're not lovers of God. Now he goes on to kind of unpack that a little bit in verse 5, just so that you know they're going to appear kind of religious. They're going to have really cool language like, we just want everyone to do their fair share. That's going to be our code for redistribution and stealing from you. We're going to have all kinds of nice words that we just want to build an inclusive society. Of course, you Christians aren't going to be included. Sorry about that, but inclusive is what we're talking about. We want to be diverse. That's just based on your skin color. We don't want diversity of thought. God forbid you disagree with the state or you have an opinion. I hope you're not a military guy. You'll be out in a hoop. Boom. You oppose your leaders or say something different, bye-bye. We don't want diversity of thought. We just want something as shallow as your skin color. And as long as we have different skin colors on our board, we're fine. But they're all going to have to think the same thing. They're going to have what he says in verse 5, a form of godliness, the outward contours. Again, they're like a spiritual piñata. They're going to make a show with kind of religious language, but they're going to deny its real power. They're not really going to be connected to God, His Word, the Spirit, the things of God. These people are total users. They're posers. They're takers. I hope you see these blood-sucking vampires for what they are, Timothy. Don't be nice. I'm going to be gone. I'm not going to be able to help you. They're going to kill me, and by the way, they're going to kill you too. It doesn't say that, but it kind of implies it. So get ready. These people are going to have their own hymns and their own amens and their own stuff. It's going to be super cool. They're going to post all kinds of stuff. And we're doing these programs, diversity training stuff, but beware. Have nothing to do with it. Have nothing to do with these people. These people are so dangerous, Timothy. Avoid and stay clear of these people. Turn away and keep these people away. He says, I'll give you kind of just a little word picture here. I'll tell you what kind of people they are. I'll give you a little visual, verse 6. They're the kind of people who worm their way into homes and gain control over weak-willed women who are loaded down with sins and swayed by every kind of evil desire. He's like, these are the kinds of people that when they know that the man's off to work, but then there's a woman at home, but she's kind of vulnerable, maybe hard on herself, feels guilty a lot, they're going to come into those homes and knock on those doors and take advantage. These people basically just find where's the weak spot and they'll take full advantage. And if you're a liberal Protestant, they're going to love your church because you bought into all their stuff and you're going to be promoting this stuff from the pulpit, but this is God's new diversity, and we're so inclusive. Maybe you'll even have like a rainbow flag out front, which would be so beautiful, because then you can actually celebrate idolatry as talked about in Romans 1. And you can actually be a part of the coolness of this new woke stuff. These people are people who are looking to work their way in, and notice he's very clear here, to gain control over. And if a society becomes, in a sense, what he calls a weak-willed woman, I hope he's not too gender specific here, because that's totally inappropriate today, but we know what he means by it. If any society or corporation or family or institution becomes weak-willed, whatever you are, they'll take advantage. Now, these people love the university, by the way. They're going to try to take the university over. They know that's a doorway to like take over the world. They're so clever. But in verse 7, Paul says to Timothy, you got to know this. They're going to have so many degrees and master's programs. They're probably going to have a PhD. God forbid. They're always learning, but never able to acknowledge the truth. These people, they can quote Socrates and Plato. These people know all this stuff. They've done research. Biased research, but they've done research, and they're in these academies, and they're super smart, and they hang out with people like at Yale and Harvard, which is so liberal these days. I wouldn't, it's just, I don't think to go there. Anyways, these people, they're always inquiring minds, asking questions, inquisitive and very curious, but they're never able to discover the truth because they've cut God off. There is no truth. They don't have a blueprint to go to. There's no absolute truths. Everything's relative and up for grabs. They're never able to solve the puzzle. These people are supposedly so smart, but this is Paul's creative way of saying, but they're stupid. They're really dumb. Like, when it comes to like things that are important, they're really dumb. They make a lot of like silly mistakes. This week I heard all kinds of stories like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Who would do that? That could never happen. Well, it can if you have an agenda. It can if you have another plan. We thought your plan was going to be to try to get all Americans out and never abandon them. But no, you have other plans, apparently. Because no one can be this dumb. And then he says in verse 8, just as Jans and Jambres, these old Egyptian frauds, opposed Moses, so also these men oppose the truth. This is Paul's way of telling Timothy and us that these people have a narrative. They do have an agenda. They want a revisionist history. We're going to have to take some statues down. I'm sorry. Here's the slave owner. He's done it. They have an agenda. They always have it. Doesn't matter if it's the 1st century or the 21st century, whether it's white supremacy or social injustice, they have something they want. They're men of depraved minds, Paul tells Timothy. That's a very tactful way of saying they're sick. These people are sick. And who, as far as faith is concerned, among us, the family of faith, they've been rejected. These people are going to hell. God does not tolerate this kind of BS. He doesn't put up with people that try to be a God substitute and get you to align with them and support them and believe them and bow to them. He will not have a golden calf of any kind in any century. And so, again, Paul talking to Timothy, he's like, just so you know, these people are already doomed. So maybe we should have pity on them and remember, they're not our enemy. The enemy is spiritual forces. We still want to win these people. There's people that do creepy stuff I don't like, but that's not my goal here. They have a judge they're going to stand before, and it's not us. So we don't need to be judgmental. We don't need to condemn any of these people. We need to try to win these people and do our part to tell them there's a better way. There's a better way to treat people of color. There's a better way to deal with neighborhoods and families and institutions, and there's a better way to fight evil. Anyways, verse 9, but they will not get very far because, as in the case of these men, their folly will become clear to everyone. In the end, of course, the folly will be self-evident. we're going to be on the other side, and he's going to say, look at this. Can you believe this crap? Karl Marx tells people that all of society is built on people opposing one another, and there's the oppressors and the opposers. Who would believe this jargon? This crazy. Who would believe Darwin? Really? We single-cell animal became a little polywog, and then it kind of reproduced, and then it became a little guppy, and then it became a little lizard, and then it was an amphibian, and then it became a monkey, and the monkey became a human. Who would believe that? Well, if you have no God, what are you going to believe? How'd you get here? Just show up? Let's go with the monkey thing. Planet of the Apes. Here we go. Their folly will become evident. People are going to figure this stuff out. If not now, in the end. Anyways. Okay, so let me pause there a second. How are we doing? Do you just enjoy seeing me melt down? I'm sorry. I just am so like, this stuff's so crazy. I'm just always so amazed that God is always so on. I mean, this is not an ancient old document that's irrelevant. This is the same stuff we're dealing with now. It's crazy. Okay, so basically, in summary, here's what Paul tells Timothy, because he's ready to depart. Terrible times are going to come. But I wish I could tell you in your lifetime, it's going to get better. I'd be just totally lying. It's not going to get better. We're going to get tougher. We're going to get stronger. We're going to stick together. Worst case is they take our lives. So we're just going to hang out here. And let's have an impact while we're here. Once we get to heaven, we can't do a thing about all these people who don't know that. So let's stay and enjoy it. It's going to be tough, though. So it's going to be hard. So we're going to deal with that. And it's going to be super hard because there's going to be people out there that are lovers of themselves. They're not lovers of God. They have betrayed minds. Paul says they oppose the truth. Their folly will become clear eventually. Their views need to be rejected. Have nothing to do with them. It doesn't mean don't evangelize, don't share, don't be a part of the great conversation, but don't pull these people into your close quarters. Why? Because whether it's first century or 21st century, wokeology is not theology. It's man-centric. It's not even about God. Now, in closing out today, I want to take a little time to try to see if I can unpack a little bit of wokeness. I hope it's helpful. It'll probably make us a little more confused, but maybe confused enough to come back, and we'll kind of go a little further, and we're going to figure this out. We need to. And I want to acknowledge at the beginning that I know there's people in all different spectrums right now because, there's people like myself who are not woke. I am not woke. Paul is not woke. So there's definitely people like that. A lot of people, though, right now are in the confused, undecided category. They're like, I don't really know what it is. I couldn't define wokeism. I really don't know what it means. I did post a Black Lives Matter post on my Facebook because it seemed cool, because I do think Black people do matter. It's but it's a Marxist organization. I didn't know that. They're trying to be cool, but they're a little confused. They want to be inclusive because that sounds right. Of course, Christians are the most inclusive, diverse people. It doesn't matter if you're Jew or Gentile. In the end, people from every tongue, tribe, and nation are going to obey and worship our Lord. No one could be, but that's not what they mean by that. Sorry, they changed the meaning of the word. So we're a little confused. There's a lot of us in that category. And then there's some who are cautiously, I'll say, maybe pro-woke. They think it is cool. Our company's doing this, and I think it's really awesome. And we just hired our first Black, trans, Muslim woman on our staff. So, intersectionality. That's so cool. Intersectionality. You're not familiar with this here? That is, the more different disenfranchised groups you're a part of, the more intersectional you are. Obviously, I'm not. But I did tell an employer recently who said I could do a seminar for them, but I'm white. So that's not going to work. They're going to hire someone else. And I told them, don't worry about it. I identify as a Black transsexual Muslim woman. I do. It's going to be perfect. They're like, I identify as that. What's going on here? Well, it doesn't work if your last name's White. You are the problem, my friend. So there are some who are like cautiously woke, but I want to try to pull them back and help them see. And then, of course, there's people that are committed to woke. And to those people, I'm praying for them, letting them know I love them, but I think they're dead wrong. And I think they're dangerous. So I don't know, wherever they are on the spectrum, again, our battle's not against flesh and blood, it's against spiritual forces and against godlessness, really. It's like, it's not personal. It's not personal. But I want them to find the way and get on the narrow path. So let me define quickly, and maybe, I don't know, look what I was doing on the plane last night. You know, can you see my, you know, I have so many notes. I'm like, I need a picture for myself. Any of you learn that way? You know, maybe I'll do some artwork for you next week, maybe in the weeks ahead you'll get it. Okay, so I'm looking at the world from a Christian viewpoint, and from a Christian viewpoint, who's leading the whole thing? God, right? He governs all. And mankind is supposed to self-govern, and he's created 3 institutions to help mediate his governance. He's created the family, he's created the church, and he's created the state as 3 governing God-sanctioned institutions, each with their own power. The family gets the rod, the church gets the keys, the state gets the sword. That's why we want the state to defend us with police and proper military and proper courts. And if they don't do that well, we're not going to feel protected, and they're going to like watch their lane. We need to help people understand salvation and the way of hope. But if they come into our lane and kibosh us, censor us, or disenfranchise us like they do in Russia and China, that's going to be a problem for us. So we're going to have to battle that. And then in the home, we're going to have to do our job to raise up the next generation. I can tell you right now, I don't want to go off on anyone or anything, but we're not doing a great job as Protestants. We're not even having enough children. The mandate is to be fruitful and to multiply. And look, if we did our job in multiplying like our forefathers did, who had 9, 12, 15, and 18 children, we would have no problem on the planet right now. But you can't compete when we're doing like 1.8 children per Protestant family and 9 Muslim children per family, and 6 Mormon children per family, and 5 Catholic children per family, and pagans. The poor LGBTQ community, they're not producing anything. So if we just did our jobs, trust me, we would outrank them, but they're having such a powerful time because they're adopting our children. They're adopting our children. Their whole narrative is self-defeating because they can't reproduce in and of themselves. They need our help to do it. So anyways, God wants us to reproduce and honor these institutions. So let me move over into kind of a woke world. And in a woke world, you're going to take God out first, right? He's got to go. And then at the top, we're going to put man, right? It's going to be a man-centric. And then man is going to be built on, just picture like the Tower of Babel. This is a worldwide effort to go back to the Tower of Babel, what we call globalism today, or centralism, or world state deity, the state, that the European Union and our country can all collude together against God because we don't need God. And today they're going to use some really cool words like reimagine. You heard that one? Reimagine. Reimagine police. Reimagine cities. Reimagine the family. Why do we need to reimagine? The family that God created is super cool. It works like super well. He created males and females. Oh, no, that's not going to do. We're going to reimagine, reinvent. We're going to rebuild. We're going to build back better. Let's put that as a banner. That's going to be the world banner. We're going to build back better with a great reset and a great rebuild because God got it wrong. We're in charge now. We're going to build back better. And to build back better, we're going to take those 3 institutions, the family, they got to go. They're a problem. So we're going to have to disenfranchise the family. We're going to have to do all we can to take away one toxic manhood. I mean, masculinity, that is so toxic. We can't have strong men. This is going to be a problem for our movement. So we're going to have to take out men. We're going to have to take the women and let's supercharge them and make them feminists. That'll be super cool. And then we're going to have to take over their children. So the children have to be a property of the state. We're going to have to totally deconstruct the family. That's a threat. So let's move the family off the map, because in our new woke world, we don't want families. Let's face it, we're all one family, right? It's all a little spark in the big divine scheme. The church, they're a real problem too. We're going to have to get rid of the church. We've done that already in China. We've done that in Iraq. We've done that in Iran. We've done that in Russia. We've done that. We're really on a roll. The American church, how can we do that? Well, there's always going to be a remnant, a few rebels that they're going to be free-thinking people. But in general, let's take over the Protestant church and make them as woke as we can. Let's rival the science, people. That's what it's all about. People want science. They want reason, the Enlightenment, Rousseau. Come on, they don't need God. They don't need the church. So we have to do away with the church. Now the state, that's cool. We'll keep the state. We have to make it big, not limited. Government with self-governing people, with God governing over all. The state has to get huger. How can we do that? Let's partner. Let's bring in some partners like corporations. Maybe the state can partner with corporations. Then we can really start to deplatform people and really take over the world. Let's take universities. That's not a God-ordained institution. The families actually have to educate the kids, and so is the church. But we'll do universities run by the state. That's perfect. So now they've got the universities. Now they've got corporations. Now they oversee the banks already because the federal system. Okay, that's cool. Did we add Hollywood? Media, propaganda, that would be super helpful, people. Let's start to take that. So you have this huge state system that the woke people are hoping that we buy into, and they're gonna eliminate the family and eliminate the church and bring in new institutions to partner with them. So the state is just, well, quite frankly, Marxist. It's atheist. They control everything. There is no God. This is all part of naturalism, secularism, humanism, all these isms, right? They're all coming together in one great woke movement. And then, well, how are we going to change the world in general for purposes of today? Because we could go on and on and on. Let's pick let's pick 3 things at least to go after. So in God's world, according to Scripture, there are no classes. There's no Jew. There's no Gentile. God doesn't divide people by rich, poor, oppressor, oppressed. All people are included in God's plan. That's got to change. We've got to go back to Marx and Engels. They believe everything's a class warfare, so that'll be perfect. We'll pit the rich against the poor. We'll do a class struggle. We'll use kind of Marxist terminology. But we're going to make it softer and kinder, like Obama said. It's just like everyone's going to have to do their fair share, which is a great code for redistribution, which is a great way to steal from people. And we'll try to take your private property. You don't mind, though, right? We'll let you use it, but the state's going to own it. And we're just going to try to give the state everything we can in this class struggle thing. So that'll be really cool. And then, well, let's go with race. Racism will be such a great way to divide the populace, and this will be a great way to take over. Now, if we do the biblical thing, that's a nightmare because there's only one race in the Bible, the human race. Damn it, that is so uncommon. We have to change that. No, we can't go with that. There can't be one race, one people, one origin, one Adam. That's it's not going to work for us. Let's go with many races. See, the Bible teaches many ethnicities, different tribes and tongues and nations, but only one race. But if we can divide people into races, you're like the black race and the white race and the yellow and the red and yellow, black and white, they're precious in His sight. No, they're not all precious. They're different and they're divisive. And people buy into this. Now you don't have one race, we've got multiple races. And then we can pit them against each other because the problem is the white race is trying to control the black race. So we're going to have to talk about whiteness, white privilege. You have it. If you don't admit it, you're just white clueless. You're so not into it. I mean, you should have white guilt because of your white fragility. That's what you have when you actually defend and say, I'm not I'm an NCAA referee. Do you know how many black people on the court when I take the court? I'm sometimes the only white guy, and I love all the people on the court. I've loved them for years and years. See, you're not even aware. That's how unwoke you are. You're not even awake, Dave White. You're not even aware. That's how fragile you are. That's how regressive you are. You don't even know how privileged you are. Oh, we don't have to hear your story, whether you grew up privileged or not. You are, because I can see that you have no tan. You can see that you are a problem. So we'll use race as a great weapon. Let's get one more. Can't go with sex because that's objective and it's based on male and female. What can you do? You can't change the plumbing. Let's change sex to gender. How about that? Because gender is not objective. Gender is fluid. Gender is subjective. It's how do you experience yourself, not what kind of plumbing. We don't need to look in your shorts and find out, oh, it's done. X, 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 Y. No. We can't go on sex. We have to go on gender. You know how many genders we can come up with? L, G, B, T, Q, X, Y, Z, M, N, P, R, S. Not trying to be disrespectful, but it's crazy how many genders you can have because you can experience your genderedness in so many ways. So let's get the rainbow flag out. Oh, damn, that's a biblical symbol. But I don't think Christians are even going to care. We'll take it. So we're going to use their symbol, and we'll call that our gender movement. And then we can pit people together because men, women, hello, what's your pronoun? I mean, we're not going to assume you're a man because you look like a man. You got the plumbing of a man. You got the chromosomes of a man. No. It's about gender. So how do you identify? How do you want to be called? It's not you. Remember, it's a me-centered world. It's not a God-centered world. It's not based on objective truth anymore. It's all subjective wokeness. And you guys are so asleep, you need to wake up. So I think I've melted down enough today. What do you think? I think maybe I'll pause it there and circle back and say, look, we know from this week, you don't have to watch the news, a battle is going on for the hearts and souls and minds of people every day of every week. This week we took some casualties, we took some losses, but they're spiritual. What's going on in Afghanistan may look political and military, but it's really spiritual. Do you know how happy China is? An atheist, the largest in the world. Do you know how happy the godless countries of the world are? You know how dangerous our world is now, based on this last week? And it's more dangerous if we don't clue it. So I don't want you to have woke-ology. It's craziness. It's cuckoo-ness. These are people, Paul said, have a depraved mind. They have an agenda. They're not lovers of God. They're lovers of themselves. And each week I'll try to teach you something from God's Word and try to bring some application so maybe you start to understand how white you are and how off you are and how wrong you are according to woke people. But then you might also understand, wait a minute, I think God was right. Maybe I'll stay with him. Maybe I'll stay grounded in that. So as the winds come and the waves go back and forth, you're not tossed to and fro like a child going, I don't know what to believe. You're anchored in Christ and anchored